Oh, okay. Um, Thank you, Orly and Maralyn. Both presentations were really insightful, and I just want to reflect on the last presentation by Orly. I found the idea of consciousness and relating the psychedelic research is very, very interesting. I recently started reading about psychedelics, and I just wanted to open up a reflection or some ideas that the use of plant medicine kind of there has to be a preparation in some sense because you're entering a whole psyche of yourself and you're at your most vulnerable side. And same with the birthing experience, women are very vulnerable in that situation. So I just wanted to comment on how do you think or how do you feel about, because once you're very vulnerable and you face that side of you, it can either be a wellness and the end result would be that you feel very well and you feel very relieved and healthy afterwards, or it could also lead to some panics or some uncomfort. So how do we relate that with psychedelics and with the birth experience if we want to interconnect it and see some overarching elements? How do you see that?
Yes, so both, it's the same because nowadays, today, in modern society, women do not see birth. Even medical staff in hospitals, they don't, I think yesterday someone said it, they don't know how natural birth, how physiological birth really looks like. So women needs preparations, mental preparations towards the process of birth, okay? And what we have now in current culture is negative preparation because the culture introduces us to medical birth, and we hear stories from our sisters and mothers and friends about complicated birth and rescued by the doctors and a cascade of interventions, not in that name, this is ours, but women scared. They come to this experience scared, terrified. They think that, and this is also an interesting note because we talked earlier about safety and safety feelings. I think most women today in modern culture they feel safe in hospitals. They are afraid that the birth will happen at home or in the way to the hospital. They feel it's not safe. I, for example, when I birthed I have two daughters, I felt the opposite. I wanted the birth to happen spontaneously at home or in the way to the hospital because I felt, because I learned, I prepared, I feared from the cascade of interventions. So I wanted my birth to happen spontaneously, okay? So the aspect of safety is relative. It depends on the preparation of the women, of her understanding of what birth is. It's the perspective. And yes, women today need to prepare. I think we must separate preparation, biological and physiological preparations, which happens automatically, and intentions and expectations. This is what a woman should be prepared to. So there is a difference between there is a difference between going to a course, a preparation course in the hospital. Well, they will tell you about Pitocin. They even No, they don't use the word pitocin, they use the word oxytocin. And they don't mention that oxytocin doesn't have, that pitocin doesn't have the effects of oxytocin. They use it like, okay, yes, we give you pitocin, oxytocin. It's the same. So you need to choose. You need to choose how to prepare to birth. This is why education, I think, also in psychedelic and also in birth, is very important. Education in both ways, to birthing women and to the medical staff.
Thank you.
Thank you for both of those presentations. I have actually sort of a comment or maybe an addition or a reflection about Maralyn's presentation of the science and the physiology of the brain and oxytocin and adrenaline. And it's based on an article I read many, many years ago, but still I think is food for thought. And that is, we're talking a lot about the environment for the birthing person, the woman, but there is also the baby. So it's a mother-baby dyad, right? And I read an article, and maybe, Maralyn, you know about this, it was called The Stress of Being Born. And it talks a lot about that. It was a physiologic article, and it talked about how everyone says, oh, birth is so stressful for babies, and the baby might be stressed if you have labor, and it talked a lot about norepi and epi and adrenaline and those chemicals that flood our body during times of what we call physical stress. So a marathon, or climbing a mountain, staying up all night to help an aging person, or to write a paper or whatever. And what does that do for us? And they pointed out that when you have adrenaline, in very simple terms, that what does adrenaline do for our body? It blood spares that. It takes the blood to our central organs to protect our central organs when we need them, most in times of stress. It increases our respiratory rate, increases our alertness state. Maralyn talked about some of the other sort of things that happen as far as mobilization of fuel, but what oxytocin does is it helps us take on that fuel. And they pointed out that when the baby comes through the birth canal, if its circulation was fully in its extremities, it would get bruised and come out in a way that we would expect it to have been hurt. But actually, the adrenaline that the mother has been taking on because she's feeling pain. So why do we have pain in labor? Why we've evolved to do that? That in fact, they call it like the birth cocktail, or the gift that the mother gives to the baby, because it blood spares to that baby. In that first hour after it's born, the baby has to find food, be alert enough to, do its. We have vulnerable babies. They're not babies who will get up and walk, so they have to be able to latch on, regulate their temperature, move their blood through a whole different circulatory system, which means that they have to now start flooding their lungs and their liver and their kidney in ways that the mother was doing it for them. So there may be actually benefits also to that balance between adrenaline and oxytocin for the baby, that you don't want to necessarily take away pain, but you want to be able to have that pain be in this environment of the natural oxytocin. That's just, I think it still makes me think about why unmedicated babies transition so well. I wonder if, Maralyn, you would comment about that.
I don't know. Is it working? No. Oh, hang on. That one working? I'll try that one. Yeah. Oh, that's echo. I love it. I don't know what to say, Saraswati. Yes, I've read that paper, and it is important for the baby to experience the stress of being born vaginally. And certainly there are interesting things happening when babies are born underwater and are brought to the surface. And there was a lot of interest decades ago with the Lamar's method of birth and those sorts of things to try to make the birth more gentle for the baby. Babies born through water in a birth pool or something appear to behave quite differently in that they don't respond with the kind of an alarm response to being expelled from the vagina. They are much quieter and calmer, and you have to prepare people to not react, because you're just going to have to wait till the baby decides, oh, okay, I'm in a different space now. So there are magic things that go on with the baby that I think we don't know a lot about. Fundamentally, the message is the same. Don't muck about with straightforward vaginal birth. Enable the system to function as it should. For me, I guess I'm more focused these days on the other things that the baby receives if it's born vaginally in a mother who's not had exposure to antibiotics and she has an intact microbiome. Absolutely critical, because a newborn baby is born with parts of its brain not yet fully developed. They actually happen through interaction with the mother's microbiome that it receives through vaginal birth over that first week after it's born. And if a baby's born by a caesarean, it doesn't get that brain maturation dose of mother's microbiome. So there are just critical things that happen if we don't facilitate straightforward birth. And yep, it probably does need to be stressful for the baby in certain ways to help it prepare for extrauterine life and all the amazing changes that will happen.
I'm not really thinking about it being stressful for the baby, but more that it's like the sports thing, no pain, no gain, that some pain for the mom, balancing that pain with the consciousness thing.
Yeah.
They can go into that altered state, but they're still feeling that thing, which gives them enough adrenaline for the baby to get the benefit, not so much for the mom.
Okay.
One more question, sorry.
I want to respond.
Yeah.
I read a paper once that there were two groups. One group of women that gave birth after a hypnobirthing course, and another with regular course. And the researchers hypothesized before that the cortisol levels on the hypnobirthing group will be lower. And it was lower until the second stage of birth. And in the second stage of birth, the cortisol level on the hypnobirthing group was higher. So I think, and I don't remember if they also checked adrenaline, but I think it's maybe connected. So maybe during the transient hypervitality, birth in consciousness, altered state of consciousness, hypnobirthing, all the same words to express the same phenomenon, then we're not living out the adrenaline. The baby get that, and even more from the other groups. So this is yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right, there's one more question here.
Oh, sorry.
No, you go.
Okay, I had a question about the birthing consciousness and the flow state. I was wondering, how is that measured? Is it more of like a qualitative measure where you're just talking to the birth, or is there actual hormones that you're kind of basing this off of? I might have missed it in the presentation.
No, it's a questionnaire. It's a questionnaire, 36 items, and there are 9 dimensions of the flow, and we checked it statistically. Mm-hmm. It's a Likert scale. Mm-hmm.